Hello everyone, it's Christine here, and I am back to just do some nice calm restorative stitching on my panel for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, which will become my slow stitch container very soon because I'm getting to the end of the stitching on the panels. So for those that might not have seen the previous episodes, but I will link to the previous episodes in the description if you want to catch up on them. This piece is inspired by a beautiful piece of poetry by Mary Walker, who's a New Zealand writer, and it's a piece of poetry called Wild Fruit. I'll link to Mary's Instagram and website in the description below. She's published a number of books, and I just adore her poetry. So as we go through, I'll describe how each of the sections are inspired by a stanza of the poem. So the first stanza of the poem reads, "Beyond my garden fence, weeds are simply plants. I might rip blackberry from my borders, but I covet its fruit in the wild." So this is the blackberry inspired wildness, but then the sort of ordered garden down here, the little basket of blackberries, and it's got a piece of vintage beading and sequinning that, yeah, I just love that that's now safe within the basket. Yeah, lots of lovely blackberries with beads, and also done with knots in wool, so French knots. And now all of the beading is stitched down, so you'll get to see that as it meanders across. Just lots of decorative stitching done in, little seed stitches. I added my own stitching here to make extra parts of this piece of vintage embroidery. And then I've had a lovely time using some gold thread, not the metallic variety, one that was much easier to work with, and just doing little swirls, meandering lines, almost like a little snail going across this part. But this part is inspired by the part of the poem that reads, "You may not fit where you are. Too big for small spaces, too loose for tight boundaries, too loud, too colourful, too new." So as you can see here, in this section, I've got the sense of boundaries because I've got these lines, I've got this rope, I've got this sort of, yeah, I guess what could be mesh or something like that. But then I've got little sparks of colour, the gold being quite sort of out there and spiralling. Even these pieces are more vibrant than the pieces elsewhere. This piece of fabric, which I've then done stitching into to create this lovely sort of puckered effect. Just love that. And then using quite bright blues from the Suspago thread, and some fluorescent thread even. I got this secondhand in a big stash of a lady's goodies, and I wasn't sure when I was going to use fluoro yellow, but it was perfect for this because the design had that within it. So just, yeah, real pops of colour capturing that loud, that too colourful, too loud. And then just more sort of like spiraling freedom sort of designs. So that sense of, yeah, not fitting where you are, too big for small spaces. So I wanted this to really be out there, even just using some of the other random fabrics, this sort of newsprint type fabric. So yeah, having fun with the imagery from the poem. And then we move on to the final stanza of the poem, which reads, "Over the fence, the world is hungry for you. You belong out there. Arch your canes over the gate. Beg the birds to lift you. However you do it, go free." And so this is all about the imagery of the bird. We worked on this beautiful bird last time with his beautiful plumage for the tail. We might even do a little bit more of stitching down here. Probably not. I don't know if we'll do the entire bird down here. I wanted to start by working on the butterfly, but as you can see, the blackberry beading is extending now all the way across the piece right to the very, very edge. I've got my little explorer piece. I think I've been around that and stitched it down, probably just not at this particular end. And then before we finish the video today, I'll show you how I'm going to be putting my piece of recycled thick sort of almost like a carpeting felty sort of stuff. It was from the reverse art truck, so I'm not sure exactly what purpose it was originally for, but I've trimmed it down, so it's going to be the perfect fit to fit in here. But I'll show you what the next steps are and how I'm then going to use that to measure the base, and then my plans for the base. So I'll cover that before we finish up today, but I thought we could just finish, it'd be nice for you to do some work with me on the finishing of the final stanza, and then we will be ready to put it together just in time for the end of June. So I've got my beads out because I thought we might do some beading, and I've got some of the actual metallic type thread, which can be difficult to work with, but I thought we could start and do some stitching on the butterfly. So I'll get a chenille needle. Sometimes hard with the metallic, you can't even see where it is. So you might have detected in my voice, or you might not, that I sound a little bit, what's the word for it? A little bit not quite myself. And that is because my dear dad went in for what should have been a very straightforward hernia operation, a hiatal hernia procedure, which was meant to be done keyhole sort of style, some sort of robotic device, and was meant to be basically in and then overnight at the hospital and then home. So he went in and had that procedure on Thursday, and a procedure that was meant to be, I think, maybe like an hour or something. He was in for over 6 hours, and they ended up having to open him up, so not the non-invasive method, because they couldn't get to where they needed to get to. So obviously that can happen, but he was feeling very, very miserable on Thursday night when Mum went in to see him. Oh no, not on Thursday night, on Friday morning, because in fact he didn't even get back onto the ward on Thursday until 9:45. And then, Mum went to see him yesterday, and he was feeling very, very miserable. And now he is in ICU, in the intensive care unit, because he's got fluid on the lungs. They also thought he had an enlarged heart. And he is quite, I went in to see him today, and he's, quite dazed. He knew who I was. He asked me the things that he would normally ask me, so it was clear he knew me. We talked about Travis and their dog Lucy and my mum, and he knew things, but he was virtually falling asleep the whole time. He was up in his chair, but he was clearly confused, because when he was pointing to the mask that they'd had on giving him oxygen, which they'd just taken off because they had to give him some anti-nausea medication. And he said, "Oh, they're doing a demonstration on me." And I said, "Oh, no, Dad, they're like," he was saying it as though they were just doing stuff just for the sake of it rather than for him. And I was like, "No, Dad, they're doing it because, they need to get oxygen into you while they're draining your lungs." And then Mum let me know just before that he was trying to get out of, she checked in with the ward or the ICU tonight, which is very good. They've got like one nurse with Dad all the time. So we had a lovely nurse today, Marge. But Dad was trying to get out of bed tonight, and he said he wanted to go and get some red cordial, which Dad doesn't drink red cordial. So he's obviously a little bit floopy, because they've got him on heavy painkillers, I think, and sedatives and things like that, and I think they've had to give him some more sedative just to settle him down. So, and I know many of you have had various, and some of you have ongoing, challenges either yourselves or with your loved ones. So I know this is not by any means unique, and definitely I feel a lot of compassion for everyone that's going through things, or has experienced or is experiencing things, because you do feel very, very helpless about what you can actually, what you can do. And today, I spent time with Dad. I knew that he couldn't really, even though I said he sort of, indicated he knew who I was and things, he wasn't really engaging in conversation. His eyes just kept sort of dropping down, and it was clear he just exhausted. But yeah, very miserable as well, which normally Dad's a very talkative person. He's everyone's friend, knows everyone. So yeah, he's definitely not himself. And I think even Mum had said last night when she spoke to him, when he'd gone, I think he was down in ICU at that time, he told Mum, I'm in an office. And Mum's like, no, you're in the hospital. So yeah, confusion, but I think that can definitely happen when you're post-operative and on heavy painkillers, and you've got not infection in the body, but the body's sort of not functioning the way that it should. So hopefully they can, I believe they've got him on medications to drain the liquid from the lungs, and we'll just wait to see what if there is anything with the heart. I think part of the problem is because the hernia was it was in the upper chest area. I think it had been pressuring on the lungs, and Dad had been having breathing difficulties prior to it, which I think was part of their reason for proceeding. But I think the hernia was just getting to a point that it needed to be attended to. It's possible he was actually born with it, which is interesting. I always thought hernias were something that kind of develop. So I was just re-threading my threads. So I just I was umming and ahhing about whether to chat with you, but I know you are such a support, and I thought I'm doing okay and Mum's doing okay, but it would be lovely if you could think some good thoughts for Dad, let's hope that he starts to turn the corner and can start recovering from the actual operation and not have the sort of the side effects to grapple with, because apparently this liquid on the lung and things can happen as a sort of post-operative side effect. But it could also be connected to the fact that the reason the operation ended up being so sort of complicated was the hernia was kind of intertwined, I think, with the organs. So, but yeah, I think poor Dad's a little bit also just feeling shell-shocked, because obviously he went in for what was meant to be a very straightforward operation, and now suddenly he's finds himself in a totally different situation. But yeah, very, very good care from the nurses. Mum's been really happy with the support, and just feels like Daddy's in the best place he can possibly be at the moment to be cared for. So I'll see how he's feeling tomorrow. I don't want to kind of go in and make him feel like he has to be awake if his body needs him to rest, and if he is sort of just resting, then I will give him his rest. It's all about what he needs right now. But if he's feeling brighter and would like a bit of company, then can definitely go in. Although the ICU, it's a pretty it's not like just when they're on the ward and they can have their own sort of things around them. I'd even taken Dad in a little stitchy thing I made for him last night, because I couldn't think of anything other. I couldn't really work on a project last night. I was just sort of focused on Dad. So I made him a little flag that says "Get well soon, Dad, with love, CAT from Christine, Alex and Travis." But I couldn't leave it there today because, he's in ICU, which they just keep just the things they need, all the beeping, pinging machines around them. So, definitely sending out love to those of you that are grappling with these things as well, or have memories of, challenges on the health front. But, feeling okay. So send your positive thoughts. Dad's way if you feel so inclined. So that's a bit of, and I will continue to do that all around. I don't know how well you can see that. Apologies for the shadows. But yeah, it does just, one, it helps to make the fabric sort of sit down, but it also, yeah, just makes it look really lovely. So we might finish, maybe we'll try and finish this side, and then we can do some beading, and then we might do some other embellishment, and I can then just, for some quiet stitching later on, just, yeah, finish stitching that down. Thought I better get it done. And sometimes it's good just to quietly talk through how you're feeling. But mum's doing well too. I think their family dog's missing Dad, although we're not sure if Lucy's got some inflammation or something, but she's been having little yelps and things. This is my mum and dad's dog. So they took her to the vet because she'd been sort of just randomly making little yelps, sometimes from her bed or sometimes when she's on the stairs. So she's got some anti-inflammatories, but apparently she's also, Mum said she's been behaving strangely, and I said it's probably because she's missing Dad. But Mum's got everything she needed. I checked that she didn't need anything or from the shops or things, and she's like, no, I'm using it as an opportunity to use up all those things out of the freezer. All the little sort of saved food leftovers that she's frozen, so that's good. But I think we'll all be relieved when he's out of ICU. But yeah, at the moment, best place to possibly be, one-on-one medical care. You can't say no to that. But it is a shock because I always joke, like, it's like my parents haven't sort of aged. I still think they're, which is just like ridiculous to still think they're in their 50s, but in my brain I kind of stopped aging at one point and they stopped aging too. I don't know what it is. It's not that I accept aging. That's just something that's going to happen. But yeah, you kind of don't, you don't think about, well, I don't think about my parents being old. Or finding themselves in these sorts of situations. But I guess this could happen post-operatively even to someone that's not old. But it sounds like there were some sort of, complicating factors that could also be contributing to it in Dad's case. So I wasn't even sure whether I was going to mention it, but I figured you folks, you'll probably hear something in my voice and wonder what's up. So I'd rather just say it, and hopefully it might provide some comfort to others that are dealing with things too, to know that you're surrounded in our caring thoughts as well. And that's the lovely thing about this community. Everyone is so incredibly caring. Probably not the most exciting stitching to watch, but might give you some ideas. With the metallic threads, best to use not too long lengths. Like this is probably as long as I'd want to go. I probably should use even less, but I hate having to either sort of re-thread if my thing keeps unthreading, but also using a thicker eye needle, which will help sort of ease a hole for the thread to go through, that will put less wear on the thread. Some people also use some of that thread sort of treatment stuff on their thread, or you can use some wax, but in the main I find it's okay. And some threads are better than others. I'm not sure what this one is. I just have a whole lot of second-hand ones. Coats Metal, polyamide, polyester, and papal. Not paper, but papal. Don't know what that is. But yeah, there's different types of metallics. Some people absolutely hate stitching with them. This isn't too bad. Maybe because I'm chatting away as well, so I'm not getting... But it hasn't done the nasty thing where it kind of unravels itself or anything. It's been pretty well behaved. Yeah, I like it. I didn't want to do too heavy stitching over. I wanted to keep the butterfly sort of quite ethereal. Is that the way you say the word? Ethereal. Ethereal. Not ethereal. Ethereal. It's like, what did I just say there? Ethereal. So let me know what you're stitching or what you're doing. So it is Saturday evening here when I'm filming this after dinner. I was already in my pyjamas from earlier. After I got home from visiting with Dad, I had to do a quick shop at the supermarket, and then after that came home. It was a rainy day, so I was pretty sure I wouldn't be taking Travis out to the park or anything. I'd taken him out earlier. And so had a shower and got into my PJs. I also put a nice warming slow cooked dish on the stove, so that cooked away all afternoon, and I just made some polenta at dinner time to go with it. In fact, I was just remembering I planned to put some chopped parsley on the top, but I didn't actually get around to doing that, but that's okay. There's leftovers, so I can do the chopped parsley for tomorrow. Do you have that where you sometimes are planning something, or even you might have something that you've sort of reheated and then you actually forget that it's there? I suppose that happens also when your mind's a little bit full of other things. Just got to be gentle with yourself. So we'll just play it by ear next week. I'll see how Dad's doing, if he's up to having visitors. Hopefully he will. Hopefully they'll get the fluid off the lungs, work out what else is sort of happening, and then hopefully he might be able to get back onto the regular wards and get stuck back into his recovery. But it kind of makes sense now why Mum, because when Mum visited him that first time, she just said he's so miserable. It's not at all like himself, even beyond sort of the discomfort from or the pain from the surgery. But kind of, and she also said he was really puffy in the face and quite red, and so that makes sense now, I think, if the lungs had fluid on them. So it's good that they identified the problem. I'll just finish this bit of the wing. This might be good inspiration for our next Roxy project, the field notes. Don't know whether we'll get to stitch a butterfly, but it might be a chance to break out your gold thread. I've also got my maker's box, box, which I haven't actually opened yet, which has wings, I think, for flying creatures, so I might have to use that in field notes as well. I was hoping this weekend to look out some more bits and pieces for that, so I'll just have to see how it goes tomorrow. Thing is, even when things are happening, my sewing is still a beautiful solace for me. Ellie said, "Oh, you're going to stay downstairs, watch a movie?" And I said, "Actually, no. I think I need my stitching time tonight." The Tour de France is starting, and that's something Dad and Mum love it. So does Alex and I. We love the scenery, but also love the cycling. So I think they're starting their coverage from 8:30, but usually it doesn't start until quite a bit later, but thankfully they do the replays, and it's also on SBS on demand as well, I think, which is free to air TV, which is good. So I'll just come and stitch up the body, and then we can do some beading together. I've also got some sequins, and I thought I might almost scatter some of those around like little bubbles, because I think that whole idea of going free, lifting up. Arch your canes over the gate, beg the birds to lift you, however you do it, go free. So they're the words of the poem that I want to evoke in this panel. Over the fence, the world is hungry for you. What wonderful words. Isn't it beautiful what people can do with combining simple words and evoking a whole, in this case, evoking a whole panel of stitching. I've adored doing this. I'm thinking I'm going to, actually, that's something I need to do before I stitch it together. I was thinking I will photograph the panels, and I was thinking I might make a special card to send to the poet to thank her for the inspiration and thank her for allowing me to use her beautiful poetry. Now I'm thinking I might, because I've got a tiny bit of thread left, I might do the antenna as well on this side. Doing slightly longer stitches. So I'm just doing my backwards forward stitch. It's my version of backstitch. Well, not solely mine, I'm sure others do it as well. Just gives you a flatter back on the piece. So yeah, this metallic thread has behaved quite nicely. So thank you, metallic thread. You can come stitch with me again. Well, you will have to on the other side. Sometimes it's good to do an extra knot or two, just because the metallics sometimes do try and undo their knots. So now we can have a think. I've got these buttons here. I also just grabbed, I've got lots more buttons, but I grabbed these blue ones, but I don't think I want to use those. I think I might use some of the, I've got some golds, I've got some blues. I think I could use these little seed beads, even though they're not all spots. I think they could be quite sweet. Let's put those ones down over here. And there's these sequins that I thought, the clear little sequins could be nice as well. In fact, I should grab my little beading tin. Hang on. Oops. These sequins always want to stick to your fingers, so I might come back to the sequins, but I'll get myself a few little goldy ones. Goldy gold. How many do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then if I do ones up here, unless I've got little gold round ones. I know I have in other places got gold round ones. There are some little goldy beads. So I'm having trouble seeing them in the light reflecting off the dish. Oh, there's little round gold beads as well. I'm not sure how many of those there are though. Oh, there's some. Just have to make sure I've got enough for both sides if I do something. This is just one of my mixed bead trays, but I often use it actually because it's kind of nice that you can just see a whole lot of beads at once and just look through for what you need. Sometimes it can be hard to pick the little little round ones up. I think there are going to be enough round ones to use them. It's a sort of goldy yellow colour. There's a goldy one. Okay, so that's probably enough to make a start. Yeah, there's plenty of round ones as well. Oops, come back, come back, come back. Where's the end of that one to be able to pick it up? Sometimes it's like they're hiding their little ends. Now, is that a gold bead? Yes, tiny bead. It's another gold bead. It's quite a small one. Another one there, and I saw a nice little tiny gold one as well. I don't think it matters if there's a bit of variation between them. Okay. Now, what will I use for my thread? Usually, now someone has suggested the Metler thread, but I haven't yet got around to getting that. But I usually use a strong sort of polyester type thread. Just having a look. I've got this one, which is a goldy colour, so I might use that. I think it's strong enough. And I have got my beading needle out because I was using that when I was stitching down all of this beautiful beaded piece. Invariably my beading needles get bent. I think it happens to most folks, but they still work. I used to be fearful they'd kind of snap on me, but so far so good. Except doesn't want to. It's a very small eye. So that can be the only challenge. Try doing the trick of turning it over if I can. Then I might do the trick of trying the other end of the thread and seeing if that will be easier. If not, I might need to try a regular. It's such a tiny eye, none of my threaders would work, I don't think, for it. I didn't have all this problem before. I just need to trim the end. It's probably not helped by the fact I've got the camera right in front of my head. Might need to go this way actually. Sorry, I'll just go off camera for a moment because I'm just trying to get a good bit of light so I can actually see where I've got to put my thread. Have I got it fully through? No, it's doing that horrible thing where it breaks the thread. Come on. Try one more time. Just talk amongst yourselves, folks. If only you could all be here with your cup of tea. I'm sure you would be nattering away. Okay, we will get there eventually. If not, we will just have to do a different plan. We're really not having much luck with this needle at the moment. I finally got it. Apologies, folks. I am trying to just do this as a straight through video, so I won't have edited that out. So hopefully that was a chance for you to, as I say, chat amongst yourselves, make a cup of tea, do something. Oops, and I better get rid of that needle. Well, not get rid of it, put it in my needle keeper. Okay, so we'll use one of the longer ones here. So I must not unthread this needle at any cost, because that would just be way too tedious. I think we'll move on to something else if that happens. Your life is too short for that. Oh, come on bead, stay on the needle. So I'm then just going to pop through to the other end and lay it down on the fabric, and then I'll come back through it just to kind of position it exactly where I want it. And I will just pull my cotton thread a bit further down just to be sure that it's not going to come out. Great. So I think I might do 3 of these and then I'll graduate down to the next size. So not exactly following the fabric design, but that's what we get to do. We get to add our own designs. I know some people are worried about the sort of, the copyright when you use like commercial fabric in your stitched pieces, but I think in many of our cases we change the fabric so much through the process of stitching on it that it becomes its own artworks. Although copyright law is a very, very complicated thing, but I think we substantially transform what we work into. I'm trying to pick up at a distance the beads, but I should actually just bring them over each time. It's much quicker if I do that. What's happening here? It's twisting around the thread. Please don't do anything odd, bead, because we need you just to behave. So here it's twisting a bit, so I'm just going to position it slightly better where I want it. I think that's quite cute. And then we'll go down to our next size beads, the round ones. And then I might use my smaller ones on the top. So I'll use the biggest of the round. I think I've got a couple of round sizes, so I'll use one big one and then 2 slightly smaller ones. Ouch, and I just poked myself through with the needle through the fabric. These beading needles are very, very sharp. So 2 stitches through each, and then I'll get one of the next size down. Or maybe I'll use one. This one I'll do the same. Yeah, I'll do this the larger size, and then I'll do the next size down for the final one. If I can pick it up. Keeping my finger out of the way. These must be quite old beads. Some of them are starting to lose a bit of their gold, but all adds to the charm for me. I think all my I don't think I've actually bought beads new myself, so all of them are secondhand. Some of the packets hadn't been kind of opened before. I was lucky at one point to get a really big bead stash from someone that was, I think, finishing up their stitching. Always makes me sad because I know I'll be sad when I have to finish up my stitching. That's why I stitch so much now. Enjoy it while I can do it. And try and not add more to my stash before I'm actually getting through my stash. I don't know how successful. I think you'd all say, no, Christine, you're not at all successful at that, but girl can dream, hey. So I'll come up now here and we can do some smaller little beads. So I'll do my bigger one of the smalls. Because as I said, they're all slightly different, some of them. So again, just going through the second time. Then I'll get the next size down, maybe one like that. Okay, and then one of our smaller ones. I've got a beautiful little gold one here. Oops, come back, little gold bead. And then I don't think I need them up there because they don't actually look as sort of as beady like. So I think that might be enough to have them there. Yeah. And whether I want to put a little bead on the end of the antenna. I think I'll leave the antenna as it is, so I'll stitch off and then I can show you the next steps, which I won't do with you in this video. I'll do them off video, but at least if you're wanting to make a similar container, it gives you what you need to do. And then I'll probably come back in a final video and show you the final stitching on of the bottom piece. I'm thinking with the poem I'm going to write it on this beautiful little postcard from the Lost Words postcard set, which is bowls of bright blackberries where the light falls. So I think I'll write the poem and yeah, the inspiration that's provided for me on this. And I'll probably put it in the base of the piece. I might even put some little corners to hold it in place. Or I could even put it on the underside possibly. Because then someone in the future, if they receive this container or have this container, they'll know the significance of it. So that is, let me just give you a proper look at the butterfly, because I know you've probably got some shadow and things. That's the butterfly. And so what I've got for my container, I might need to actually lift you up a little bit. Let me just lift you up. Is this felt with a sort of a backing. So yeah, it does remind me of sort of carpet tiles or like an industrial felt. It's already got a nice bend in it, so I'm planning to use it this way. I've cut it down. It was a bit wider. And what I'm going to do is lay my piece this way. So I've got the inside panel, but it's all been stitched as one panel. So that's the front. This is the inside. It bends and it meets down the bottom. And so I am going to put my piece of felt inside and put it right up to where the bend of the fabric is. And then I'm going to match it all up, make sure it all looks nice at the top, that the top is sort of sitting where the top needs to sit, and it will have, as I say, it's got a lovely curve in it, so it's going to curve around beautifully like that. And by the time I then stitch, what I'm going to do is once it's all positioned where I want the felt to be, I am going to line up the two bottom edges, and I'm going to do an overcast stitch enclosing the felt in the middle and going all the way around. So I can start that off for you actually if you, oh no, I've still got to do the butterfly, so I won't do that because that would just get too messy. But if you are doing this, basically get your liner, and if you're using not this sort of industrial style felt, you might need to even reinforce it depending how heavy and how sturdy you want your container to be. But yeah, I'm going to enclose that by stitching all around. And then once it's all stitched around, I'm going to work out whether I want my container to be a total circle, or do I want it to be more ovally shaped. I wasn't originally thinking oval because I was thinking keeping it on my windowsill, but I'm worried it will get faded. I absolutely love this piece, so I think I'll do it round, and I think it will sit up next to my desk but not sort of catching the sun. And so I'll then, once it's all stitched and these bits will be stitching down and sitting down nicely, I'll then draw onto a piece of paper around the inside of it, and then I'll cut out my piece of felt. I'll probably just use one of the felts that I used when I was doing my perpetual calendars, which isn't as thick of a felt, and cut that out for the base. And then I'll use some of my blue fabrics. I've still got a whole bunch of scrappy bits left out to do a similar sort of scrappy base for it, just with some simple stitching to hold the fabric down. Might even use a single bit of fabric if I wanted to. I've got a lovely, actually, got this nice one sitting up just up on my bench. So lots of possibilities. And we'll probably come back and do this. I'll then stitch the base onto the piece. These will all be already sort of stitched together, and then just do another set of stitching to stitch it on. So that's the plan to put it together. But I do need to finish the stitching on the butterfly. I'll probably add some more stitching just around here, finish off the little birdie down there. That will just be some nice therapeutic stitching for me. So I hope you're doing well. I hope the world is being kind to you. If you want to think some happy thoughts for my dad, I'm sure he would or will in due course appreciate those, and I know I will appreciate any good thoughts you want to send dad's way. And he is hoping that things start to improve from here, and hopefully they do if you have troubles in your world too. Bye everyone, take care.